Hello and welcome to IM Movies. It's the morning of Christmas Eve, and some kids are playing in the snow. John Bennett, an 8-year-old boy, tries to play with them, but they drive him away.
Get lost, Bennett!
Christmas morning comes and John gets a gift that makes him happy and excited. It's a teddy bear who he names Teddy. It's nightfall, and as he is about to sleep, he wishes to give Teddy the ability to talk just as a shooting star passes. John wakes up in the morning to find that Teddy is alive. He is frightened at first, but later becomes happy about it. He tells his parents, but they don't believe him until Teddy talks in front of them, to which they scream with fear. Teddy then tells them that he only wants to be friends with John. Then they calm down and marvel at what they call a Christmas miracle. News broke out, and every news outlet covered the story of the talking bear. While on an interview show, Donnie sees and desires him, but his father shuts him up. In John's room, he and Teddy hide under a blanket, afraid of the thunder, as they vow to be thunder buddies for life.
Thunder buddies for life.
Fast forward 27 years, Ted and John, now adults, are seen smoking and getting high on drugs until he discovers he's late for work. Ted drives him to work, and on getting to work, gets invited into his boss's office. His boss talks to him about being punctual and responsible for obtaining a promotion. He leaves, and on getting to his coworkers, he asks them about a nice restaurant where he can take Lori, his girlfriend of 4 years. A female coworker tells him that Lori would be expecting a proposal after dating for 4 years, which he dismisses. At home, he discusses the date he is taking Lori to, and that maybe she is expecting a ring while they watch Flash Gordon, a show they both love. Lori arrives from work and prepares turkey burgers while they discuss her boss, who usually hits on her. As they're about to sleep, they discuss the date they will go on the next day.
I'm taking you to the best place in town.
Suddenly, thunder strikes, and he is frightened while she wonders why a 35-year-old man would still be frightened of thunder. Ted then barges in, afraid, and jumps in bed right next to John as they sing the Thunder Buddies song they had come up with as children. It's morning, and Lori arrives at work looking flustered. Her coworker asks her what's wrong, and she explains that her boyfriend can't sleep through a thunderstorm without his teddy bear. Other coworkers advise her to give him an ultimatum between her and the bear. She explains that she loves the bear very much, and losing him would devastate him, and also, there's a possibility of him choosing the bear over her. Their boss interrupts them and calls Lori into his office only to show her a diving team photograph to show off his physique. She explains that she has a boyfriend and leaves when he does not understand that fact. At their dinner date, they discuss the first time they met. He then gives her a piece of earrings and promises to give her a ring when the time is right. Lori tells him that he needs to move on from Ted, but he explains how Ted was the one who got him through childhood.
He's been my best friend since I was 8.
On arriving home, Lori gets out of the car while John looks for his dropped phone inside the seats. She gets inside and finds Ted with 4 girls. She discovers one has taken a shit on their floor. As she freaks out, John comes in and tries to scare Ted, but to no avail. He then finds out about the shit on their floor. In the next scene, we see John and Ted at an aquarium. John tells him that he needs to move out of the house and give him and Lori some space. Ted thinks this would reduce how much they hang out, but John promises to hang out all the time. After that, we see John escorting Ted to a grocery shop interview. They celebrate by trying to get high, but a man, Donnie, and his child walk toward them. They offer to buy Ted, but John refuses and explains their friendship.
He's very, very special to me.
He then leaves his contact in case they change their minds. John helps Ted move into his new apartment and leaves reluctantly and emotionally, as if he's losing his best friend. The next morning, as John gets ready for work, he and Lori discuss Ted moving out while fantasizing about the fun they would have. At Ted's work, Tamerlane picks his interest and makes her laugh with adult demonstrations. At John's work, a female coworker checks on him because Ted is not living with him anymore. They bond over the similar situation she previously had. He receives a call from Ted, telling him to give an excuse at work and come to his place. He tells his boss that Lori got hurt, and he lets him leave.
Well, go, take care of it. Let me know how she is.
On getting to Ted's place, they get high while watching a show where they talk badly about each other. Moving on, they discuss their lives, and Ted tells him about Tamerlane, who he likes from the store. He then tells Ted to invite her for a double date with him and Lori. After that, at Ted's work, shoppers complain that there is only one checkout point in a long line. The owner then looks for Ted and Tamerlane, who is in charge of other checkout points, only to find them having sexual intercourse in the storage. The boss invites him into his office and promotes him for his guts.
I'm promoting you.
It's nightfall. As Ted goes to the back of the store, he meets Donnie, who tries to convince and bribe him into coming to live with him and his son. He refuses, Tamerlan comes out, and they leave together for their double date. On the double date, they discuss their lives, but Tamerlan gets angry when Lori asks to get to know her. They try to calm him down, but she starts to shout at her until Ted walks her out of their date. With John and Lori alone, she asks him about the excuses he gives his boss to see Ted. She explains that he needs to take some time from Ted for their relationship to grow, while giving him one more chance to make it right.
I swear to God, your last chance.
Later, they arrive at Rex's house party, who happens to be Lori's boss. He invited John upstairs to show off his art collection and signed souvenirs. He then explains that he has no interest in Lori. He flirts with everyone as a fun person. John then gets a call from Ted that Sam Jones, the guy who plays Flash Gordon, is at his party. He then runs to Rex to tell him that he must leave without her noticing, which he promises to do. On getting to Ted's place, he meets Sam Jones. They get drunk and hide together until he loses track of time and forgets to return to Rex's party. By the time he realized, it was too late. As he is about to leave Ted's place, he sees Lori coming. As she sees him, she becomes angry and walks out. She tells him to leave their apartment and takes the car keys from him.
Give me the car keys.
Ted comes out, and he gets mad at him for dragging him down and regrets not stopping to hang out with him a long time ago. He stays the night in a hotel while Lori cries at home. A week later, Rex asks her out. She agrees because he promises to leave her alone and if she doesn't like the date. Meanwhile, John is at a hotel. Ted tells him that Lori is going out with her boss, but he doesn't believe her. He also tells him that he brought all the problems to himself because he did everything they did together without being forced. They fight after John tells him that he sometimes wishes he had gotten a different teddy bear instead. After expressing their anger, they reconcile, and Ted promises to help him get Lori back.
You gotta let me help you make things right with you and Laurie.
At Lori's date at a concert, she seems to love the music. Backstage, the lead singer, who happens to be friends with Ted, sees him and John, and they discuss. The show restarts, and she gives the stage to John to pour his heart out to Lori. He starts to sing, but it's so bad that a fan jumps on stage to stop him, but is hit with the microphone stand. John was escorted off the stage. The next morning, Ted goes to talk to Lori. He tells her that John is miserable without her, that it's not entirely his fault, and should give him another chance.
Just give him one more chance.
Lori talks to John while Ted gets kidnapped by Dunny and his child. Lori goes to a coffee shop to meet John, and he apologizes to her and tells her that hopefully they can stay friends because he messed up for the past 4 years and is really sorry. Meanwhile, Ted is taken to a house where he sees that he has been stalked for quite some time. He is taken upstairs, and after the child rips his ear off, he decides to play a game of hide and seek with him. While trying to hide, he plans to escape but is unsuccessful. He then sees a phone and calls John to say he's in trouble before the phone goes off.
What do you mean? What kind of trouble?
Meanwhile, John and Lori are trying to talk in her car. He discovers where he was taken to, and then Lori drives there. He tries to call the police and report the incident, but they hang up because he said his teddy bear was missing. Who wouldn't hang up on that kind of statement? Just get a new one. Meanwhile, Ted is being shoved into the trunk and taken somewhere else. As Lori and John arrive at the place, they follow the vehicle taking Ted away. He covers his face of Dunny with a blanket as he crashes. He then gets out and starts to run. They all go after him, including John and Lori. He gets to a point and starts climbing a tower. Dunny climbs after him, catches up to Ted, and in an attempt to drag him down, rips him in half as he falls from the tower. While almost dead, Lori and John pick up his stuffings as he says his last words
Don't ever lose her again.
and finally dies. They rush home to try to stick him back together. But it doesn't work. Ted is gone. As he sits down while Lori comforts him, there is a clap of thunder, but he doesn't flinch. Guess he was only afraid because he was still acting like a child until Ted died and he finally grew up. As John lay in bed, Lori looks out the window, sees a shooting star, and wishes Ted back to life. Morning comes, and guess what? Ted is back, he is alive. John is ecstatic. Lori was also happy, and they realize that she had wished everything back as she and John reconciled. He then asks her to marry him, and she says yes. They got married, and with all their friends in attendance while leaving for their honeymoon in a limousine. And that's the end of this recap. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up. And and hit that subscribe button for more. Thanks for watching, and see you at the next one.